President Joe Biden's decision to drop out of the presidential race got us thinking about the selfless quit. In this video, we highlight 5 parallels in recent history. All of the main characters are political leaders, except one particularly surprising example, which we saved for last. Before we jump into it, welcome. This is Progress Uncluttered. We're all about how we move forward together. Remember how in July, President Joe Biden dropped out of the presidential race and endorsed his Vice President, Kamala Harris, to take his place on the ticket. To be clear, the president had been under pressure in the race. His poll numbers were not promising, and that was mostly due to concerns about his age. Then came the first debate. Let's just say his performance was not good, and that just deepened concerns about his age and the viability of his candidacy. All of that intensified pressure for him to exit the race. He had 2 choices really: continue to run with a low chance of winning re-election, or step aside to improve the chances of his party retaining the presidency. By dropping out, he put broader interests above his personal interest. For us, it is refreshing to see leadership that listens enough to bend to the will of the led and to prioritize the greater good in real time. The event inspired us to look back at recent history for some parallels. So here, in chronological order, are our top 5 moments in underappreciated selfless quits in recent history. Number 5. Shirley Chisholm in 1972. She was a teacher before she became politically active. In 1964, she was elected to the New York State Assembly. In 1968, she made history as the first black woman in Congress. She championed civil rights and social justice. In 1972, Shirley became the first African-American woman to run for a major party's presidential nomination. Her campaign slogan was "Unbought and Unbossed." She advocated for greater diversity in American politics while facing racism, sexism, limited resources, and other challenges. Recognizing that her campaign was unlikely to secure the nomination and could divide the civil rights movement, Chisholm chose to step aside. Number 4. Mikhail Gorbachev in 1991. He grew up in rural Russia and studied law at Moscow State University. It was while at the university he became active in the Communist Party and quickly climbed the ranks. His success in regional politics opened doors in national politics. He served as General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union from 1985 and became President of the Soviet Union in 1990. The USSR had major issues, including severe economic decline and rising nationalist movements within the Soviet republics. Gorbachev initiated reforms to address these problems. However, the reforms failed and ultimately accelerated the collapse of the Soviet Union. His resignation in December 1991 marked the end of the Soviet Union. Rather than use force to maintain the Union, Gorbachev allowed the peaceful independence of Soviet republics. His resignation prioritized the greater good over personal power, ensuring a relatively peaceful transition and reshaping the world order towards self-determination and democracy. Number 3. Cory Aquino in 1992. Born into a prominent family, Cory initially stayed out of politics, focusing on supporting her husband and raising their children. After her husband, Senator Benedict Aquino Jr., was assassinated by the Marcos dictatorship in 1983, Cory became the face of the opposition. In 1986, she led the peaceful People Power Revolution that ousted Marcos and became the first female president of the Philippines. Her presidency focused on rebuilding democratic institutions and promoting civil liberties. Ahead of the 1992 election, Cory enjoyed strong public support while the Philippines continued to face political and economic challenges. Her party and supporters wanted her to continue leading, believing her leadership was essential to stability and reform. Despite pressures to extend her term, Aquino chose to respect the 1987 Philippine Constitution, which was enacted during her presidency. The Constitution included a provision that limited the president to a single 6-year term with no possibility of re-election. Aquino was committed to upholding this constitutional limit as a safeguard against dictatorship and the concentration of power. Cory's decision to not seek re-election was a pivotal moment in the Philippines' transition from dictatorship to democracy. Number 2. Nelson Mandela in 1999. At age 26, Mandela co-founded the African National Congress, or ANC, Youth League in 1944 and played a key role in anti-apartheid activism. He was arrested in 1962 and spent 27 years in prison, becoming a global symbol of resistance. After his release in 1990, Mandela led negotiations to end apartheid and became South Africa's first black president in 1994. Mandela was immensely popular both in South Africa and around the world. His leadership was seen as crucial for further stabilizing the nation. Many of his supporters, both within the ANC and among the public, urged him to continue leading the country to ensure the consolidation of democratic gains. However, he stepped down after one term in 1999 at 80, setting a crucial precedent for democratic leadership in Africa. Mandela wanted to ensure a smooth and stable transition of power to the next generation of leaders. He supported his deputy, Thabo Mbeki, as his successor, and stepping down allowed Mbeki to assume leadership with Mandela's full backing, ensuring continuity and stability in South Africa's governance. Now to the surprise package. Number 1. Pope Benedict XVI in 2013. Pope Benedict was born Joseph Ratzinger in Bavaria, Germany. He was regarded as a brilliant theologian. He was a professor and advisor during the Second Vatican Council. He was elected Pope in 2005, becoming the 265th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. Everyone knows being Pope is a lifelong gig. Everyone except Pope Benedict. He resigned in 2013 as the first Pope in nearly 600 years to step down voluntarily. His decision was driven by advanced age and declining health. It reflected his commitment to the church's needs over tradition. Those are our top 5 moments of underappreciated selfless quits from leadership in history. If you appreciate any of these moments, give this video a like. If you think we missed a moment, let us know in the comments. Here's our closing thought. Every now and then, organizations and nations find themselves in trying times that call for selfless leadership. When leaders rise to the moment, even if it means the sacrifice of their personal ambitions, the results for their people and for humanity can be far-reaching and transformative. Selfless leadership has always been and will always be a part of how we move forward together.